Hey guys, welcome to A Little Bit of Monica. Today is Sunday, and it is the first day of my 7-day vlog where I'm going to be taking you with me every single day this week to show what I get up to, whether it's exciting things or mundane things or just reading things. I'm going to be keeping you up to date as I go every single day. So starting off with today, like I said, it's Sunday. It's around mid-afternoon. It is very warm outside, but it also was raining this morning. And already today, I have managed to finish my first book of the week. I did start this book yesterday when I was visiting my family camping. So I read about 57% yesterday, and then today I finished the book, and it is time to give you my updates on reading Cujo by Stephen King. This was my July pick for my Stephen King book club that I run out of my Discord. If you're interested in joining, the link will be in the description. We read a different Stephen King book every single month and talk about it in the Discord chats there. And Cujo was our July pick because Cujo takes place in the summer, and the fact that this book takes place in the middle of the summer in the extreme heat is also a very important point within the story that just elevates the horror that much more. So let's get into my thoughts on this book. I ended up really liking this. I had so much fun reading this book, and I found myself genuinely excited to keep going. I was finding myself just carrying the book around with me, reading it while my food was heating up in the microwave, and reading it walking across the house. Like, I just really enjoyed the reading experience here, and I found myself always ready to pick it back up, which is just a good sign in general. I am landing on a 4-star rating. I feel like this could maybe be 4.5. It wasn't necessarily the 5-star obsession that I look for sometimes, but I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. We are going to see the story of a dog that starts out being super kind, never barked, never bit, never had any issues. But then when he contracts rabies, he's gonna lose all of that gentleness. He is going to go crazy, and there's gonna be a couple of people that don't make it out of the story. I really liked getting to explore not only the people that are involved in the story, but we also get to see a glimpse inside Cujo's mind himself, which I think is really fun. As a dog, we get to see the way that at the beginning he is devoted to his family, the parents and the boy, Brett, that own him, and he sees them as his, like they're his man and his woman and his boy. And I love getting to see the difference between these moments at the beginning, and then once he has the rabies and we see the deterioration of his mentality and he starts to lose that piece of himself that keeps him gentle, and once all of that is gone is when he starts to just see them as strangers who are out to get him, and that's what feeds the aggression behind his attacking. And I think this is a really interesting way of seeing this all unfold. But we also do get to explore a lot of other characters within the town that this takes place in, and we get to see how they all interact and then how they all end up getting to kind of cross paths with Cujo in different ways. There's a couple different families. One of our main families is Vic, Donna, and Tad. Tad is a 4-year-old boy. Donna and Tad are going to be two of our main characters that interact with Cujo the most. I watched this movie adaptation as a young child, probably way too young that I should have been watching it, but I had exactly one memory of this entire movie, and it was just the fact that there was a car and a child was trapped inside. Like, that's the only memory I ever had from this movie. Now I have learned that the mom and kid being trapped in the car is like the majority of the story. Like, that is truly at least half of the plot. So what I remembered from the movie ends up being like the most important piece, but there were definitely things that I did not remember. I was a little bit traumatized as a kid. And now, having read the book, first of all, I do love how much more expanded it is. And now that I actually, remember what's going on here. But truly, some of these scenes are so graphic and so horrific, and I love it. I love it. I love the violence. I love the gore. I love getting to read about a dog absolutely mauling people. That doesn't sound great, but I loved reading about it. But I also think it's fun because not only do we get to see the like physical violence of like a dog attacking people, but we also get to see interpersonal drama, and there is like underlying issues between different people's relationships that cause distrust and things that end up feeding into why the situation with Donna and Tad trapped in the car that Cujo is trying to break into. It makes it so much more dramatic and so much more intense intense for them. I also really appreciate, and I don't remember enough about the movie to speak on how this is reflected, but in this book, it is so painful, honestly, but like in a good way, to read about the mental, emotional, and physical deterioration that Donna and Tad experience while they are trapped in this car in 100+ degree heat. Trapped in a car? Yeah, it is really, really painful to read. The utter anguish and pain that they are experiencing, and even like the delusions that they are experiencing. This mother and her 4-year-old child, it was painful, but it was done so well. Like, it was written in such a way that like I genuinely feel like I could feel those emotions too. I could live it through with these characters and like genuinely feel the same things. So I really just love how all of this was reflected, and I think this book was done very, very well. Like I said, are there small things that Stephen King could write a little bit differently? Absolutely. But overall, I just really had a good time with this, and I'm so glad that it was my July pick, and I'm glad that it was so short, because definitely short from Stephen King's standards. So I'm excited to have this one as my first book, but now there are some really fun things that are coming for the rest of the week. I will, of course, be keeping you updated with reading updates, event updates, things that are going to be going on. But for now, this is my very first Sunday update, and I will talk to you a bit later.
But no, we were not talking to Jonas Brothers. Why did I start talking about this? Hello over there. I don't even know how I got to this point, but that is okay. So we are going to see Gracie Abrams. And I think I'm just gonna record some random things.
Time for my Tuesday update. I didn't give you any sort of explanation yesterday about what I was going to be getting into. I just decided to show you instead. But yesterday I went into New York City with Lexi. We rode the train in. We walked around quite a bit. We visited the Strand. We visited Barnes & Noble. We just kind of walked around, had some very sore feet by the end of the day. But then in the evening, we went to the Gracie Abrams concert, and it was so much fun. I'll admit, I didn't know all of Gracie's music before the show, but I had such a fun time. She has such a fun presence on the stage, and you can tell just by looking at her that she truly is in love with what she does, and she genuinely is like so appreciative of her fans. And she spent so much time during the show literally like walking down and like, you know, just taking pictures with fans and like having fun. You could tell she was enjoying herself. I also had no idea who the opener was. It was Role Model, and there's apparently a whole story about his involvement with the tour, and he's like in a movie or something now. I didn't know all of that was going on. I had no idea who this guy was, but I ended up really liking his music, and I am now going to be listening to it. So that was a successful experience. One, just like having a lot of fun, but two, getting to basically appreciate more an artist that I already liked but didn't know as well, and now finding another artist that I do enjoy. Also, I found out today after the fact, because we did not we did not see from our seats. We had really great seats, which power to Lexi for getting those. From our seats, we couldn't actually tell who the guest was that came up for the one song that apparently he always brings a celebrity guest on for. Even from the screens, we could not recognize who this person was, which maybe we were just like not looking correctly. I don't know. Anyway, I found out today it was Natalie Portman, who is his co-star for like this new movie that he's gonna be in. Insane. Natalie Portman was just like randomly dancing around the stage with him, and it was iconic, but we didn't even realize it was her until a full day later. However, it was a super fun experience, and I just love getting to do these things. I am currently sipping on a lemonade to try to get some hydration back in me because I am so tired. We got home at 2:30 a.m. and then I was working from home today. I'm usually in the office on Tuesdays, but I was working from home today because I told them straight up, I'm getting home in the middle of the night and I'm not gonna be in any position to be seen by the public. So you're gonna thank me for staying home instead of coming in. So had a successful work day for the most part, and now I am ready to jump into some reading. I actually have no idea what book I'm gonna start though, because I'm in between books right now. So I have two options, and until I actually pick one up, and my brain is a little too tired to actually read a book right now, but once I actually pick one up, then I will let you know what I decide on. But I am deciding between two options. The first one is Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. This is an arc that I have, and the book comes out on August 5th, so I don't have a lot of time before that. It's about exactly a week from now, so I don't have a ton of time to try to get to this before it comes out, but I really want to, so I'm going to probably prioritize that one. However, the other book that I want to read is Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a special edition sci-fi. I don't have it in my hands right now. It's in a stack on the floor, but it is a special edition that I have. Also, it's on my TBR as a book for the upcoming book festival I'll be attending, where the author will be there as well. So I definitely want to try to get to this one. And Lexi and I were considering not necessarily buddy reading at like the same pace, but more of like accountability buddy reading to make sure that we both actually read the book. So those are kind of my two main options right now. There were a couple of other things I considered, but I think those are the two I'm deciding between. So I'll let you know once I actually make my decision. I'm going to keep drinking my lemonade, waiting for Matt to get home from work so that we can eat dinner. And then I have no idea what I'm doing the rest of the evening because I'm not sure what my brain has the capacity to handle right now. But a fun night was had, a fun day yesterday. Absolutely love these adventures and can't wait to have more. So that is my Monday yesterday and Tuesday today update. And I will be back tomorrow to let you know how my reading goes, if I do any, and what else I'm getting up to. But yeah, that's what I've got for now. It's time for my Wednesday update. I realized that it is kind of late and I never updated you on what I managed to decide on last night, because last time I checked in, I said I had two books that I was picking between. So now it's time to let you know what I decided, and I just didn't decide. I ended up reading both. That's pretty on par for me, not making the decision. So I ended up starting with one book last night, read a little bit in that, and then today I ended up picking up the other book. So let's start with my last night update. I managed to read about, let's see how many pages, about 30 pages, not very far, in Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This is the naked hardcover. I already took the dust jacket off. I didn't feel like going to pick it up. But this is the naked hardcover, and I'm obsessed with it because this is about an author, and this is the story that the author is writing in the book. Now, I am, like I said, not very far into this, but so far it's about an author who is really not having a good time of it. I believe she is at her sister's wedding, and she just found out that she got fired from her job, and her book did not get picked up by the publisher that she had submitted it to. So she's really not enjoying things right now. A little bit down on her luck, and at the end of the chapter that I just got to is when she started writing this story. I have no idea where the rest of this is going to take me because I honestly can't remember a whole lot about the synopsis other than like she's writing this book. So I don't know what I'm in for. I'm really not very far. I think it's like 6 or 7%. I do have the audiobook from Libro FM. So beyond that bit of progress from last night, then fast forward to today, I also did some editing. I managed to get my TBR kind of edited a little bit more. I still have a little bit of work to do on that tomorrow. But I painted my nails today, and I had to do it twice because this nail polish that I just bought the other day, it's a different brand that I usually get. I really like this yellow color. It has been a very popular color within the friend circle. So I love this shade. It's like a very nice, like light, like I don't even know, like a faded yellow, but it's a different brand that I usually get, and the something about it, it's like very tacky. It's supposed to be like an instant drying one, which first of all, why aren't all nail polishes instant dry? If there's the power to make them able to dry in 60 seconds, why aren't they all like that? I don't know. But anyway, the one that I have, I think I have it right here, is like this insta dry, and it just felt very tacky, and it didn't dry very easily. Anything that was like in the side, like the crack of the nail, was like really goopy and gross, and I ended up messing it up like immediately after doing the second coat, and I messed up multiple nails at once. So I just restarted, and I had to be a lot more careful about like making sure that I didn't get extra like around my nail. So that was an awful experience. I will probably still use this again. I don't want to waste it, but next time I just have to be a lot more careful with this type, I guess, with this brand. I have been using a gel polish lately, and that's not what that is. I definitely prefer sticking with the gels, but the gel didn't have the yellow, so that's where we're at with my nail polish update. I know that's riveting information. But the other update that I have to make is the other book that I started today, which was on my Kindle, because it is one of my ARCs that I need to finish in the next week, because Well Actually by Maisie Eddings comes out on August 5th. So I don't have a lot of time. I literally have like a week to finish this book. I am about a third of the way through right now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. This is compared to the Chicken Shop Date, this concept of the main character who does like a hot dog eating interview with like D-list celebrities, and they're really entertaining, but she ends up making a drunken TikTok talking about a kind of like famous influencer and her experience with him in college, and it goes viral, and now she is thrown into the situation where she has to do the interview with him and kind of revisit what it means to like be in a good relationship, kind of questioning his approach to relationships and the advice that he tends to give to guys as an influencer. I think this is a really fun story so far. I like both of the characters and the tension that they have. She is just this fiery main character. Eva is like sassy and super like confident in herself, but has a lot of like internalized issues that she works through and like judgments on herself. And then we have the other main character, Riley Cooper, who is he's just a very interesting character so far, because he is taking all of the hits that she is like throwing at him, and he's taking it with a lot of grace, and I'm just like really interested to see how this vibe's going to keep going through the story. So this is a really fun one. I have loved Maisie Eddings previously. I read A Brush with Love like last year, I think, and I really, really loved it. So I was excited to get the arc for this one, and I'm excited for it to be coming out very soon. So with only a third of the way through, I have plenty more to go on this book, but that's my update. I am about to jump on my computer and play some Phasmophobia with Lexi and Mel and Cassidy. I am so excited to be playing this game again. It's been a couple of days. Honestly, I think it's been about a week since we played. And so I need some of my gaming fix. So I'm about to jump onto that game, and I will update you tomorrow with how the week is going. Hi, it's Thursday, and I have to check in on my reading of Well Actually. I'm loving this book. I am 72% of the way in. I have absolutely been devouring it this morning. I've read about 40% of the book just today. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this. I love this dynamic. There are certain points where I feel like Eva is a little harsh, a little much, when it comes to the like aggression towards Riley, but I also understand like that's just part of the harbored feelings from when they had been together previously. I love the dynamic that we're exploring here. There is so much good conversation about character development. Like they are literally talking about how a person can change and grow and become different than they were before, especially knowing the context of how people were living when they made certain decisions. And I just think this is a really beautiful conversation that these characters are having as it relates specifically to their relationship and the tension that they've had and how they can move through it. It's so good. Also, they just have an insane chemistry that's like so much fun. I love Maisie Eddings' writing. I think she so easily brings characters in that make you fall in love with them, and everything feels so natural. Dialogue sounds so comfortable. It definitely sounds like a conversation I would overhear versus I've read other books where the dialogue itself just feels so technical and like I don't know how to describe it. Her writing just feels so normal and natural, and I love it so much. And I'm super excited to see where the rest of the story is going to go. But I'm nervous with like 30% of the book left. Like what could happen? What could go wrong? I don't want anything to go wrong. I hate a third act breakup. So I'm like really hoping that we're going to avoid that. But I'm really loving the conversations happening in this book, the dynamic between the characters. I just couldn't wait before giving another update. So I will maybe check in again later today because I want to keep reading. I do have to edit a video, but I also want to keep reading because this book is so good. It is a happy Friday indeed. I am so relieved that this week is over. It has been such a long and exhausting week. Exhausting because I am reaping the consequences of my own actions, so I won't complain. I have had a lot of really late nights this week, and last night was no exception. I had mentioned that we were going to be playing some video games, and I ended up playing Peak until 1:30 in the morning. I have no regrets overdoing it, but I was very tired today. So the workday was rough. I found myself wanting to sleep all day long. I did take a little bit of a nap and I woke up not sure what year it was. I didn't really feel that much more refreshed. I am feeling a little bit better now. I am on sprints with Lexi and Mel. Hopefully that's going to help me be a little bit more productive today because I have a lot of reading that I need to do and I need to be fighting off the exhaustion that is just, it's right there. But I do have some updates to give before I go back into the sprints. First of all, I did manage to finish Well Actually yesterday, which is impressive because it means I read 70% of the book in one day. Once I started, I just didn't want to stop. I was having a lot of fun. I thought this book was super fast paced, like things were constantly happening, and I really liked the couple and I liked the story that they had going. So this was a really great reading experience. I am landing on a 4-star rating for this one, probably like 4.25. There were just a couple of things that were not my favorite, but overall I really liked the dynamic that they had. I love the like fiery, feisty FMC, and she's very messy, as Maisie Eddings writes messy FMCs in like all of her books. And then our MMC was like a golden retriever kind of character, and I really liked the clashing of these personalities and to see how the two of them had to grow together, grow separately but grow together. And I liked that so much of the romance started as something that the careers that each of them have had kind of forced together. And so we don't only get to see the dynamic of the relationship, we also see how their careers can also be moving throughout the story for better and for worse. So I think that was an interesting dynamic to explore. The one thing that really bothered me, and I think in general, Eva's personality was a lot, and she held like personal vendettas against Riley for so long. And I think that as an adult, there should have been a moment where she was like, let's try to move past this. She hung on to negative feelings for so long and it felt very repetitive. I definitely understand having issues that were like founded in the trauma or like just the bad experiences she had, but there comes a time when you just have to start to let those things go, and it took way too long for her to get there. I also think she was in general a very terrible friend. I think in the romance relationship things were really great. I really liked how that ended up progressing over time, but I do think Eva was a terrible friend. She neglected the people in her life all the time. She refused to respond to messages and calls and made them super concerned for her, and she just did not care in return. Also, there was one particular scene that made me so angry, and like if I had been one of her friends at this time, I don't know how I would have like come out of this. If I'm being honest, I think that she just did not care about the people in her life as much as a friend really should. The good thing is it didn't take away from how much I enjoyed the rest of the book, so like this was a fantastic read. I had a lot of fun. I'm excited for it to come out in just a couple of days. It is August 1st currently, and this book comes out on the 5th, so not a lot of time left in between now and when the book comes out, but I am jumping into my other book. So I had started reading Death of the Author earlier this week. I made it 30 pages and then put it down because I wanted to read Well Actually instead, so now I am jumping back into this one. So far it's slow, not a lot is happening. I'm hoping that something's going to pick up and, you know, make the story a little bit more interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be jumping back into this while I'm on sprints. I also need to read the new Grady Hendrix Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I already took the dust jacket off because I want to try to start that tonight, just because I already have the audiobook from Libby that I had gotten like 2 weeks ago, and I only have a couple days left on my hold, so I need to read that one before the audio goes back. So that's gonna be next up on my list. But first I do need to make some progress in here because this is towards my actual August TBR. So that's where we're going now. I am going to be jumping into sprints. There's like a minute left on the timer, so I don't have a lot of time left, but here's to hopefully having a very productive reading night and staying awake long enough to actually make some progress in my books. So it is at this point that I have decided to go ahead and DNF Death of the Author, which makes me very sad, but I made it 25% into this book and I am liking the story in general. I do think that the main story is good. It's well written, first of all. I do think the writing is incredible. This author has a lot of talent for writing. My main issues come with the fact that this book was not marketed accurately, in my opinion. This was included in the Starbright sci-fi box from Illumicrate, and well, I just noticed that my nails match the words on here, which is really cute. But anyway, this was in a sci-fi box, and it's not a sci-fi book. This is a literary fiction. It does have some sci-fi features, like the main character is an author who is writing a book about robots, so like that's sci-fi, and there are like self-driving cars that the character is utilizing, so like certain sci-fi related technology, but that's it. It is really a literary fiction story about a woman who is navigating the publishing industry and trying to get into publishing, trying to publish her book when she has no one to support her, no family that really supports her career choice, and just like doesn't have a lot of the resources, and then all of a sudden it gets published and it blows up. That's all the farther I got in the story, but I was enjoying it for the most part, like for what it was. My problem with it is that I can see myself not wanting to pick it back up. Like there's nothing about the story that has gripped me to the point where when I put this down for the night or whatever, I just don't see myself wanting to pick it back up again. Like I don't see anything that will intrigue me enough to really like be excited to keep going. On top of that, we also have a story within a story because we are also reading the sci-fi book that the author is writing in here, and it was my least favorite part of the book so far. I just was not interested in the robot story. I was more fascinated by the author's life in general, and so like all of those factors together just made this not the best experience. I definitely still think it has its audience. I think litfic people will absolutely love this. It just was not for me, one, from the marketing, and two, I'm just not into the story the way that I wish I was. So unfortunately I will be unhauling this, even though I do love this edition. I think it's beautiful, and I do think this author has a lot of writing talent. I'm just sad that it's not quite for me. However, this does mean that I will now be jumping into the other book that I was considering reading anyway, which is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. Oh, I have the dust jacket here. So I will be jumping into this one. I have at least one more sprint going on Lexi's Patreon for tonight, so I'm going to jump into this book and hope for the best. It is Saturday, which is the final day of the vlog, and I have an update to make on the book that I am reading. I mentioned last night that I was switching gears, and I ended up switching to Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. And so I'm going to be talking about this book and how far I've made it so far. I have had a couple of hours to read this morning, but I'm gonna do that while I make myself a lemonade. I have been obsessed with making fresh homemade lemonade because I bought myself a whole pack of these special cups. They're just the ones that you get from like a fair, and I really wanted to get that feeling at home. So I bought myself a pack of the cups, and I have been obsessed with making lemonade. Is it so sweet and probably really unhealthy? Yeah, but it is great for the soul, and I just love that refreshed feeling. So I'm gonna talk about Grady Hendrix while I make my lemonade, rolling to get the juices flowing. Okay, so this book, first of all, I knew very, very little about it before jumping in. I knew that it was, it's called Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, so I knew it was gonna have something to do with witches. I also went to an event when this book was, actually it wasn't even out yet. It was a couple months before the release of the book. And Grady Hendrix was doing an event at a local drive-in theater, and Lexi and I went, and it was this triple feature about witches. It was so much fun. And so I knew that this book was gonna be about witches. at the point that I am, I'm about 35% into the book. I have the audiobook from Libby, and I also had pre-ordered a physical copy of the book from Barnes & Noble. Actually, I think I have the Barnes & Noble edition of it. And I'm doing both. So I'm doing audio and physical. So reading this book is nice because it contributes to my goal of reading through my physical TBR. I am on a temporary book buying ban that I am not allowed to pre-order more books or buy more books in general, other than special edition subscription boxes. I'm not allowed to buy more books until I read through the books that I've already purchased. And I have a spreadsheet that's tracking everything. And Witchcraft Forever Girls is the earliest book on the list because it came out in January, and it's a 2025 list. So it is the oldest book on my list that I had pre-ordered but haven't read yet. So it's important to get this book done because it's contributing to my ability to get out of my book buying ban, which is self-imposed, and it's hard, but I'm loving it. So I was really excited for this book. So far I'm having a lot of fun. At 35%, we're finally getting into the actual witchcraft part because honestly, the entire first third of the book is kind of setting things up and getting to know the characters that are going to be at play here, because we are following a group of teenage girls, specifically our main character, whose name is Neva, but when she enters the Home for Unwed Mothers, I don't know what I'm doing, about to add more sugar, as if I need more sugar in this thing. When Neva enters the Home for Unwed Mothers, she is given a different name. All of the girls in this home are named after flowers, and they live in this house together. They clean, they keep themselves busy. They're basically just shut away from the world because this takes place in 1970, and in, you know, this, like, anyone who was an unwed mother was considered like a blight on society. Nobody wanted to interact with them. Parents, families were just so embarrassed to even have them exist and have them have made such a mistake. And so they would send their daughters, they would send their girls, their teenagers who had gotten pregnant, to these homes where they would stay until they have the baby and then be sent back. So that's kind of where the story is set up. And our main group of girls, so we have Neva, who goes by Fern in this home. I always end up getting lemon juice flying at my face when I do this. So Fern and all of the other girls, so we spend the first third of the book getting to know Fern and her situation and like why she's there, but we also get to know all of the other girls that are at this home as well, and kind of like what they're put through there, with like weekly doctor appointments, with their like on-site physician, and just like the way that the adults there treat them, which is absolutely garbage. Their dietary restrictions are so painful to read. Like it's just really sad to know that these girls were treated like this. And I know this is all based on like kind of reality of real places from back then. Obviously this is a fictionalized story, but based on real types of places that existed, and I absolutely believe that people unfortunately were treated like this. So these girls are treated really, really terribly, and at this point in the book, they have now been introduced to the practice of witchcraft, which at first was like, oh, I wonder if this can like help cure morning sickness, like that kind of thing. And now they're about to get into things that are a lot more intense. And really they're trying to escape their lives. They're trying to make the best out of a terrible situation that they've been put in by being sent to these homes. I love the show of like friendship that the girls, even though they're really reluctant at first because they know this is a temporary place, and some of them have really bad attitudes, but I love that they all start to like really kind of bond together and start to form these really, like, I don't know, meaningful friendships. That's really fun to explore. I'm gonna go get some ice and I'll be right back. Okay, so I added the ice and water, just literally filled the rest of the cup up. So now, as I get rid of the cat hair, just gotta shake it up now. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying the book. Obviously I'm only a third of the way through, so there's still a lot more to happen, and I really don't know what these girls are going to do now that they have been introduced to witchcraft. I don't know what they're gonna get up to. I don't know what shenanigans they're going to pull. They have such a range of personalities within our four main girls who are now doing the witchcraft: Fern, Holly, Zinnia, and Rose. All four of them are very, very different. They come from different backgrounds. They have different personalities, and they all have the similarity of like being in this home and kind of sticking together through all of the like emotional and physical turmoil of everything. And so I'm really excited to see where the rest of the story is going to go. It's horror, so things are going to be horrific, I am assuming. I don't know what they're gonna pull, but I will keep you updated. Probably not in this vlog because I don't think I'm gonna finish the book today. However, next week, probably tomorrow, tomorrow's Sunday, Monday, I don't know, I might be able to finish it in the next day or two. So it'll be in my next vlog. but so far so good. And I will probably do one more update later today to see how far I actually get. Now that I finished making my lemonade, I need to shake it. So now that I finished making my lemonade, I need to make lunch, which is probably gonna be leftover Chipotle. And I'll probably watch an episode of 911 because I'm obsessed with that show. And I have a couple more seasons to get through before the new season comes out in October. So I have some work to do. I also have some hard-boiled eggs on the stove that are currently cooling because I was really craving some hard-boiled eggs. I wanna make egg salad or something probably tomorrow. So I have those eggs cooling. It's just gonna be like kind of a really productive Saturday, I'm hoping. Restful because I don't have to do like my job work, but productive in like getting some reading done, doing some editing, prepping some food for next week, and just ultimately getting myself into a good headspace because it's the beginning of August and I have so many things planned. Here's to hoping for a restful and productive day all at the same time. I'll check in with you in a bit. I honestly I couldn't resist the temptation of the outside today. It is the most perfect weather for this time of year. It is not too hot, not too cold, and I have this perfect little shaded patch of grass right outside my front door where like the house shades this part of the lawn, and so it's like the perfect place to just come out. I set up a picnic blanket and I've just been sitting out here, laying out here and reading for a little bit, and it has been so nice and so relaxing. I am sad that I didn't think to do this earlier today. I did also bring my lemonade out here because I am still working on drinking this and trying to fight the bugs from going inside. But honestly, best decision I've made all day. I am approaching the 50% mark in my book, which I am still enjoying a lot. There's a lot more of the witchcraft stuff that's happening now, which is exciting because we're finally getting into some of the eventful plot lines. I don't know what the heck this book is going to hold for the second half because I feel like a lot has already happened, but this is a nearly 500-page book. So yeah, I've got a lot of book to read left, but I'm really glad to be able to do it out here. I was getting a little drowsy inside. I was sitting in my recliner and just realizing I was getting really tired. And when I looked outside and realized how nice it was, I couldn't resist. So now I'm out here for a while fighting off some of the like sweat bees and gnats and things that are flying around, but it's worth it because this is the most perfect weather. So unfortunately, I did not manage to finish Witchcraft Wayward Girls before the end of this video. However, if you want to see my thoughts when I finish this book, because it will be very, very soon, make sure you stay tuned for my next vlog that'll be coming out about the following week of reading, because it will be the thing that I do to kick off my next week of reading. So stay tuned for more updates to come. But for now, this has been the last week of July, including the first day or two of August. And I feel like this was a really successful week. Lots of fun memories made, and honestly, some really solid reading progress, so I cannot complain, and I am really excited to see what the rest of August is going to hold now that we are into the new month. I have some very exciting vlogs planned for August, so I can't wait to show you what's coming, but for now, I want to thank you for being here and watching this video, and if there's anything specific that you like to see in vlogs, I'd love to hear that in the comments. I am always open to kind of trying new types of videos and just seeing how things work, and so I would love to hear some thoughts. I'd also love to hear what you think about some of the books if you've read them, or if you're interested in any of the ones that I have been reading. Love to hear that as well. But as always, I'm very thankful that you're here, and I really hope that I will see you in the next video. Bye!